Hey Virgo, I'm Anna and welcome to your daily tarot reading. Thank you for joining me today. This reading is for any sun, moon, or rising Virgo. Okay, dear Virgo, so let's talk about transformation and connection in real terms, not fantasy terms. Ready? Let's go. Listen. There's a shift happening in the trajectory of your life. Not a minor adjustment, not a small course correction, but a fundamental reorientation of direction. And I'm not talking about some external force coming in and magically changing everything for you. I'm talking about you reaching a point in your own evolution where what you've been building internally is about to manifest externally in ways that look dramatic but are actually just alignment, catching up to growth. Stay grounded, because when I say 180 turn, I need you to understand what that actually means. It doesn't mean your life is going to become unrecognizable overnight. It doesn't mean everything you know is going to disappear and be replaced by something completely different. What it means is the direction you've been moving is about to shift. The trajectory you've been on is about to change course. The path you thought you were walking is revealing itself to be different than you assumed. And that shift, it's going to be significant. It's going to be visible. It's going to be the kind of change where you look back 6 months from now and think, that was the turning point. That's when everything pivoted. Can you feel this building? The sense that something fundamental is shifting? Drop a comment if you're already picking up on this energy, because here's what I'm actually tracking in your field. You've been in a particular pattern, a particular way of living, relating, operating, and that pattern, it's been limiting you, containing you, keeping you in a certain lane, even though you've outgrown that lane. Maybe it's been a pattern of settling, of accepting less than you deserve, of making yourself smaller to fit into dynamics that don't actually honor you. Maybe it's been a pattern of isolation, of protecting yourself so thoroughly that you've closed off to genuine connection, of keeping people at a distance because proximity has hurt before. Maybe it's been a pattern of cynicism, of not believing good things can happen, of assuming that hope is naive and that keeping expectations low is the only way to avoid disappointment. Whatever the specific pattern, you've been running it for a while. And it's kept you safe in some ways, but it's also kept you stuck. And now something's breaking that pattern. Something's disrupting the familiar. Something's creating conditions where the old way of operating isn't going to work anymore. Does this feel accurate? Have you been sensing this disruption? Let me know in the comments, because let me be clear about what I mean by this person. I'm not telling you that some specific predetermined soulmate is about to walk into your life and solve all your problems. That's not how life works. That's not how healthy relationships form. What I'm sensing is there's potential for connection entering your field. Either someone new who represents a completely different kind of dynamic than you've experienced before, or someone already present who's about to show up in a way that shifts the entire relational landscape. And this person, they're not going to sweep you off your feet in the rom-com sense. They're not going to come in with grand gestures and perfect timing and make everything easy. What they're going to do is challenge your patterns, disrupt your assumptions, show you through their presence what's actually possible in connection when both people are operating from wholeness instead of wound. And that disruption, it's going to feel intense. It's going to activate things. It's going to make you confront whether you're actually ready for what you've been saying you want. Have you been sensing someone's energy even if you haven't met them yet? Comment below if this resonates. Because here's what's actually creating this 180 turn. It's not external circumstance randomly shifting. It's you. You've been doing work, internal work, the kind that doesn't show immediate results, but that fundamentally changes your frequency. You've been healing things, releasing patterns, letting go of stories about yourself that kept you small or stuck or safe in ways that no longer serve. You've been building different relationship with yourself, more honest, more compassionate, more grounded in actual self-worth versus performed confidence. You've been clarifying what you actually want versus what you thought you wanted, what actually aligns versus what just looks appealing from the outside. And all of that work, it's changed what you're available for. It's changed what you attract. It's changed what resonates with you and what doesn't. So the 180 turn isn't about your life randomly changing direction. It's about your internal evolution demanding external alignment, about who you've become requiring different circumstances than who you were. Does this make sense? Can you see your own role in creating this shift? Let me know in the comments, because I want to talk about what this actually looks like in practice. The person who enters or the shift in someone already present, they're going to represent something different than what you've known. If you've been with people who couldn't commit, this person is going to be clear about what they want and willing to move toward it. If you've been with people who couldn't communicate, this person is going to be direct and honest even when it's uncomfortable. If you've been with people who needed you to be small, this person is going to appreciate your fullness and encourage your expansion. If you've been with people who were emotionally unavailable, this person is going to be present and engaged and willing to do the work of real intimacy. And that difference, it's going to be disorienting at first, because when you're used to struggle, ease feels suspicious. When you're used to chaos, stability feels boring. When you're used to proving yourself, being accepted feels too simple to be real. So you're going to have to work with your own resistance, your own skepticism, your own tendency to wait for the other shoe to drop. Have you been getting in your own way when good things show up? Drop a comment if you recognize this pattern, because here's what you need to understand about being swept off your feet. That phrase usually implies passivity, being carried away, having things done to you rather than choosing actively. And that's not what healthy connection looks like. That's not what sustainable relationship is built on. What's actually happening is you're going to be actually met by someone who can see you clearly and shows up for what they see. And that meeting, it's going to feel powerful. It's going to create strong feeling. It's going to be the kind of connection that makes you remember why you've been doing all this work on yourself. But you're not going to be passive in it. You're going to be actively choosing, actively participating, actively assessing whether this person can sustain what they're initiating. Because the beginning is easy. The initial attraction, the early excitement, the honeymoon phase, anyone can do that. What matters is whether they can do the middle, the boring parts, the conflict parts, the showing up when it's not exciting parts. So, yes, feel the feelings, let yourself be excited, let yourself hope, but also stay grounded, stay discerning, stay connected to your knowing about what you actually need versus what just feels good in the moment. Can you hold both openness and discernment simultaneously? Let me know in the comments because I want to address what might be coming up for you. Part of you might be thinking, finally, something good is happening. Finally, I'm going to get what I've been waiting for. And that hope, it's beautiful, it's valid, it's evidence that you haven't completely closed off despite being hurt before. But I need you to be careful with that hope. Because if you make this person responsible for your happiness, if you need them to be the thing that completes you, if you're looking for them to save you from yourself, you're setting up dynamics that can't sustain. You're creating pressure that no human can withstand. You're building from need instead of wholeness. So feel the hope. Let yourself be excited. Let yourself believe good things can happen, but don't abandon yourself in the process. Don't make them more important than your own center. Don't sacrifice your clarity for the relief of finally having someone, because the 180 turn isn't about going from alone to partnered. It's about going from operating from wound to operating from wholeness. And that shift, it has to happen internally before it can manifest externally in sustainable ways. Does this distinction feel important? Comment below if you needed this reminder. Because here's what else I'm sensing about this shift. It's not just about romantic connection. The 180 turn is bigger than that. It's about how you relate to possibility, how you move through the world, how you make choices, how you show up in all your relationships, not just romantic ones. You've been closed, guarded, operating from scarcity, assuming the worst, protecting yourself so thoroughly that you couldn't receive even when good things showed up. And that's shifting. Or it needs to shift, or this person situation is going to force you to shift it if you want to actually receive what's available. You're being invited into different operating system, one based on trust instead of one based on abundance instead of scarcity, one based on worthiness instead of constant proving. And that invitation, it's not comfortable. It requires you to let go of defenses that have served you. It requires you to risk being hurt again. It requires you to believe you're worthy of good things even though you've been disappointed before. Can you do that? Can you let the walls down enough to actually receive? Let me know in the comments because I want to prepare you for what this transition actually involves. It's not going to be smooth. It's not going to be just excitement and joy and everything falling into place. There's going to be fear of being vulnerable, fear of this not being real, fear of getting hurt again. There's going to be resistance. Your patterns fighting to maintain themselves, your defenses activating when things get too good, your skepticism trying to protect you from potential disappointment. There's going to be grief for time spent in dynamics that didn't serve you, grief for the versions of yourself who didn't know this was possible, grief for what you had to survive to get here. And all of that, it's part of the process. It's not evidence that something's wrong. It's evidence that something real is happening. So when the fear comes, when the resistance activates, when the grief surfaces, Don't run. Don't shut down. Don't convince yourself that because it's complicated, it must be wrong. Just stay present, feel what you're feeling, let yourself process what needs processing, and keep choosing, keep showing up, keep moving toward what's aligned, even when it's scary. Does this feel like something you can do? Drop a comment if you're ready for this. Because here's what I really want you to understand. This 180 turn, it's not happening to you. It's happening through you. Because of choices you've made, because of work you've done, because of who you've become. And that means you can trust it. You can trust that you're ready for it even when you're scared. You can trust that you've built the capacity to handle it even when it feels overwhelming, because you're not the same person who entered previous dynamics that didn't work. You're not operating from the same wounds. You're not bringing the same patterns. You've evolved. You've grown. You've become someone who can actually sustain healthy connection instead of just hoping for it. And this person who's entering or showing up differently, they're matching that evolution. They're meeting you where you actually are instead of where you used to be. So trust yourself, trust your growth, trust that you're ready for this. Even when part of you wants to run, the 180 turn is here, the shift is happening, the person is entering or emerging, and you're ready to meet it. Not perfectly, not without fear or doubt, but ready nonetheless. So open yourself, let it happen, let yourself have this. You've earned it. You're ready for it, and it's time. I don't sell futures, I build architects. No predictions, just the raw truth for the tough ones. Stay magic, stay in the now.